Usually I don't have a big exhale of frustration like, but I guess I do every once in a while. Hello, everybody. This is day 189, known in the mundane world as November 17th, 2016. If you're new to the channel, the first number is always the count of me taking estrogen. So at day 189, I have been on hormones for 189 days, which is just a little bit past 6 months, which would have been November 11th, which was Friday last week. So this will be just a real short video. Not much changes from week to week in my life right now. So really this is more of just a bookmark video that I can go back and say, well, I wonder what I look like around, 6 months. And so this is it. My daughter has a doctor's appointment in a little bit, so I have to go well, she's home right now actually. But, I personally like a little bit of makeup in the morning, just some color and my fingernails and whatnot. But in light of the fact that I have to return my daughter to her school and sign her in, and then turn around a couple hours later and then pick her up from school, and I'm not out yet there, not full time yet, obviously, and I don't want to cause stress for my daughter, as minimizing all that. So it's just me all natural, which I think is good, but that's what I am, and not a whole going on as far as the transition goes. My breasts are still tender, which means they're growing. I can't really tell any visible. I took the tape measure last week and measured my breasts, and there was no change. Does that mean, as far as the circumference goes, does that mean that maybe, as the breasts are going out, does that mean that other parts of me are going in? I don't know. There's the net, not a change. However, that said, when I look down, of course it helps to sit up straight, right? If I sit up straight and I look down, my wrist actually goes underneath my breast. Okay, so I know that my breast, and granted, now I was fat before, so I mean, my body naturally had a curve there, but this is definitely, again, I'm showing you. I'm sorry, again, my arm, my wrist can go underneath my breast, and yeah, covers it up. So I know that things are changing. So that's really, really, really good. And hopefully we'll continue to, my expectation is whatever I can get is good. So I won't argue with any of that. Trying to think what else is going on. Really, that's just about it. I'm still waiting on one piece of paper to come in the mail, and then I will be able to file the final divorce paper and get that going. And then in my own timeline, I will go to the Social Security office. Although I think when I take the paperwork and whatnot to my lawyer, I'm gonna, because she still has to draw up the final documents, and then my ex-wife needs to sign, and then I'm gonna ask her then, is there anything keeping me from going to the Social Security office and filing a form and changing the gender marker? And if she says no, I may go ahead and do that, and then get that paperwork to work. And it's at some point I just need to make the decision that I want to transition at work. And I think my workplace said they needed like a month or two heads up warning, notification, so that they can prepare some sort of pro-transgender diversity program for my area. Now, as it turns out, the last couple of days, I will be moving to another department within my company. And so, it would be almost to my advantage to transition at work. And then that way, when I'm in this new area, um, nobody is going to know me as the old gender. But, I've been working at this company for 17 years, and pretty much everybody knows me, and I know everybody. So, even people you don't work with closely, they know your name and they might know your face. So there's really no advantage to that. But the plus side of that is that as going forward, every 2 or 3 years, there's kind of a shake-up, for lack of a better word. People move around, new bosses and everything else. So again, there's going to be a time when, I am transitioned in the workplace, and my current boss, who's awesome, who's aware of my transition plans and everything, they might be gone, and then a new boss comes in, and they're only going to know me as Robin Karen Parks. And so that's kind of exciting in a way, because then they don't have a previous record. Now that said, again, the boss that I have right now, I met them and I was already growing my hair out and everything. So again, it's kind of an illusion, I think, to think that we are going to be somewhere forever, and I'm going to work here till the day I die, or I'm going to work here till I can retire, or whichever comes first. The money, I'm still open-minded if this transition thing goes through, and I can find somebody that to get along with, and we live together, and just so happens that they're financially stable and I don't have to work. I would be a stay-at-home, mom or wife or whatnot, but that just seems so far-fetched right now, to be a homemaker and whatnot. Another thing I'll share with you real quick here, since this really isn't, too much. I came across my grandmother's cookbook, and it's the Woman's Home Companion Cookbook. It was published in 1942. This is the 1944. No, this is the 1946 edition. It was republished and had a second run in 1944, and then this is the run in 1946. But it's been interesting to read it, and to have a book that was written for women who maybe were young and newly married or didn't know anything about the world or what. It was very empowering. It's not the woman is the second type thing, but it does kind of talk about responsibility, that the woman as kind of the household major domo, for lack of a better word, is in charge of food preparation, but also procurement to make sure that you're buying good food, but also economically you're spending and taking care of other things. So it's kind of been a really cool read. Like I said, not what I thought it would be. And there's some dated concepts in it, or some dated things. At one point it talks about, how to host a party, and it said that, you wait until after the salad is served before you bring the ashtrays and the cigarettes. That as part of the hostess, it was your responsibility to make sure there were enough ashtrays and enough cigarettes for everyone to smoke. And I think, excuse me, that could just kind of, cuts me up. I just kind of picture, going to the store and, oh, I got to pick up a carton of Camels this week because I'm throwing a party, So again, and on another thing on that note is it also talked about, I just realized what's in my eye here. Hang on, let me. Okay, there we go. How about that? Still down there. It's my makeup mirror. Because it's white and it's reflecting light. Put it in the shadow. There we go. How about that? See, it's gone now. Well, you can see right there. Anyway, but it's kind of interesting about, 1946. Um, talked about the war effort and, that the recipes, what you could do if you didn't have as much meat or any meat at all to adapt so that you could cook and provide for your family, but also be conscientious of the meat that you use and resources because you had the war going on, and I don't know. This was kind of an interesting read. It put something in perspective to me today about how, maybe, I could be upset, that I am not transitioning, let's say, as fast as I wanted to, which isn't the case. But I think going full time is, I'm waiting on this piece of paper, and it's, crazy that the state was so slow, and then they mailed it to someplace else, and they've been so slow getting it back to me. But I could get really ticked off about that. But keeping this cookbook in mind to think about where I may have been if I was a little younger and trying to transition in the 40s, or in the 50s. Obviously there's medication and surgery and everything was not as advanced, but just to how thankful I am that I can go to the store and buy meat to cook food for my family, or vegetables, like talked about buying things in season. Well, where we live today, you probably can go to your grocery at any point during the year and you're going to find lemons and limes and avocados and mangoes and, oranges and apples, whatever. But, these fruits that are seasonal, and they might be more expensive at certain times of the year, but to be thankful that we live in this age where we have this prosperity. And I guess you probably could tie that into responsibility. You should donate some of your time or your talent to religious things or whatnot, or community activities, which I would kind of agree with to a certain degree. We've got Thanksgiving around the corner, and I kind of would like to donate some of my time, but I have my daughter with me, to like cooking or being not a soup kitchen per se, but I don't know. I have to see kind of what's going on. A lot of my Facebook stuff now is transgender stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I feel like maybe I might be alienating my non-transgender friends. Like if you had a friend who picked up a hobby like curling, for example, and they're like, oh, curling is God's gift, the stone, and you throw it in little broom, and, curling this and curling that, and, the World Curling Federation and all these curling rules, and, I'm afraid of being somewhat myopic, but also, if all someone sees when they look at your Facebook profile is, activism for a certain cause or whatnot, that doesn't diminish the importance of it to you. But, again, would you be friends with someone who is so myopic? And again, that doesn't diminish the importance or the severity of social education and whatnot. But again, I just, I'm afraid of that. You know what I mean? These causes are definitely important. And when one is discriminated against, obviously there's education. But again, I'm a little worried about being too, you know what I mean? Like I'm not wearing t-shirts, that say I'm transgender, deal with it or whatever. It's, but then again, I'm more of a wallflower and I want to be stealthy, so, that's really about it. I'm almost out of time. I'm surprised I filled the whole 15 minutes with nothing to talk about. Just one day at a time, and hopefully things are good for you.